time to crack the Ripper one last time. Hey guys, Harry Thomas here, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this uh, long-awaited updated ranking of the five Indiana Jones movies. Yes, so you can count them all on one hand, even though we just needed three. No idea why they felt the need to make two more after Spielberg was insistent that Last Crusade should be the finale, but uh, that's Hollywood for you, and Harrison just could not let go of this franchise. So, uh, yeah, and of course, the Indy uh, franchise is both good and bad for me. I'm doing this ranking this year is to celebrate the 40th anniversary of my personal favorite Indiana Jones movie, Temple of Doom. And yeah, so I just spoiled where I'm gonna put it on my ranking here, but so yeah, without further ado, if you want to see my ranking of what are the most beloved adventure franchise of all time, then just keep watching. At num at number five, at the very bottom of this list, to nobody's surprise in the slightest, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Disaster, or as my friend Ollie Pajak calls it, Indiana in his old bag of bones. Can't blame him. Ah, this movie sucks. This is from the director of Logan, the best X-Men movie. James Mangold, what the hell happened to you, buddy? What a colossal dip in quality from Logan. In fact, this movie's even a dip in quality from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That is saying something. I predicted this was going to be the biggest cash grab and recipe for disaster for Indy ever since it was greenlit, because Harrison insisted he wanted to make it. And why did they think it was the right decision to make this movie when Harrison was nearly 80? It clearly wasn't. He is far, far too old for the role at this point, to the point where he can't do any epic action stunts. That, like Indy himself, this movie feels like it has no energy, and it feels so old and excruciatingly tight, as Indy is clearly has a CGI double in every freaking action scene in this movie. Like, the ending plays it far too safe. They could have left Indy in ancient Rome because that's what he wanted. But no, they thought, oh, we're going to get backlash like the ending of No Time to Die if we kill off Indiana Jones. So Disney and Lucasfilm lazily played it safe and just brought Indy back to present day. And even the cameos from Marion and Salazar are all too brief and feel like they're there for fan service. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she's easily the most uninteresting female character in the franchise as Indy's goddaughter. And the fact that they divorced Indy and Marion and killed off a mutt just retcons that happy ending that Spielberg established in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was kind of an insult. Even Mads Mikkelsen as the villain underwhelmed me big time. I'm I'm sorry, but time travel is in Indiana Jones is even more ridiculous than the aliens in Crystal Skull. When will they learn sci-fi does not work for this franchise? But above all, an Indiana Jones movie should be fun, and there was no fun to be had in this. And on that opening action scene, you could tell a younger Harrison Ford was CGI. It looked super unconvincing, and I'm overjoyed this one bombed. Doesn't surprise me it did, because it was released in the summer of Barbieheimer and in a summer of a ton of competition, and Disney and Lucasfilm clearly just made it to make a quick buck, and they failed. Even Chris Stuckman made his own Indiana Jones movies, and they are some of the greatest fan movies I have ever seen. The Jewel of the Forest and Eyes of Eternity. I would take them over Dial of Disaster and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull any day. At number four, the fourth installment, ironically, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Uh, yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is dull as dishwater in comparison to the original trilogy, and like Kung Fu Panda 4, does feel like one too many and just another Indiana Jones movie without doing anything special. That said, at least Spielberg is still in the director's chair, so it's at least not as rough to sit through as a Dial of Disaster, and at least Harrison is not as ancient as he was in Dial of Disaster. And plus the ending with him and Marion's wedding and was such a sweet way to tie the knot and wrap up uh, their relationship and Indy's story. George Lucas is clearly the one to blame for this film failing. Like he Spielberg should have put his foot down to George and said no. Aliens and Indiana Jones don't mix. George, but so moral of the story: don't listen to George Lucas. And the aliens and the nuclear fridge scene uh, don't make a lick of sense, and the action certainly is more reliant on CGI. That has not particularly aged well 16 years later, uh, and uh, uh, even Kate Blanchett's plays probably her weakest role as the villain who's working with the Soviet Union to track down the Crystal Skull. But well, at least they didn't use the Nazis again. But even so, I still can't believe this is the highest grossing Indiana Jones film, and yet it's considered by the majority of the fan base to be the most disappointing of the franchise. Yeah, clearly people just flocked to see it in 2008 for nostalgia. And Shia LaBeouf as Indy and Marion's son, well, he does look like the love child of Karen Allen and Harrison Ford, but he's just a blander version of his father. At number three, the third installment. Oh boy, this one is gonna rustle all your feathers, but Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Please don't hurt me. Yes, I get you're all gonna say in the comment section how Dare Last Crusade is not number one, or at least number two. I totally get all the affection for it. This is still a splendid conclusion to the original Indiana Jones trilogy and the last good Indiana Jones movie we ever got, so I'm thankful for it for that. You can see Spielberg was intending to close the curtain on the series with this one by having Indy and his pals ride off into the sunset, and this should have been the finale, clearly. The one thing that knocks it down for me, why I can't put it above the first two films, is I disagree with the decision to make Elsa the twist villain. I wish she had come on the journey with Indy and Henry to get the Grail, because in the first act of this movie, she and Indy had decent chemistry. I bought their bottoms. And using the Nazis again doesn't work as well as it did in Raiders, as it just feels like this film is trying to be a course correction and an apology for Temple of Doom, which I personally don't think it needed to be. But thankfully, the adventure is what keeps this movie non-stop fun, and Indy and Henry's Bond is the true emotional center of the movie, and so cast Sean Connery, James Bond, as Indy's father can't get better than that. Venice boat chase and the tanker chaser to the finale with the knights at the Holy Grail, all better action scenes than all the action in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Dial of Disaster combined, uh, and plus the opening prologue with young Indy, the perfect opening and backstory for the character that us fans had dreamed of seeing. At number two, the one that started it all, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What a remarkable landmark of cinema Spielberg gave us 43 years ago, and it has stood the test of time ever since. That's very few of the Indiana Jones sequels have been able to surpass it since. Shout out to a special friend and subscriber of mine, Indiana Bones. This was the intro to his favorite movie protagonist of all time, Indiana Jones, and yeah, uh, and this and Star Wars was back when Harrison Ford was the true king of action adventure movie stars, and Karen Allen as Marion, she is Indy's equal in every single way. This is hands down her best movie in the franchise, uh, and the opening scene to Raiders is my absolute favorite in the series. I mean, a few other opening scenes have been parodied as much as that, particularly Indy grabbing his hat from under the sliding door. The Nazis work as the villains this time, and this film perfectly established the Indiana Jones traditional formula. How Indy always gets a one-on-one fight so with a muscular henchman, which sadly we never got to see in Dial of Disaster, because Dial of Disaster had no respect for the original films. The Nazis work as the villains this time, and this was the birth of John Williams's signature scores, the da 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 dan dan da dan. I mean, it's the I mean, his scores may have been lacking in a Dial of Disaster and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but his score for the original three, pure, timeless. And this would be my number one Indiana Jones movie, if not for the one that you all know is my favorite. And my number one favorite Indiana Jones movie is, you guessed it, The Temple of Doom. But this movie, anything but doomed the franchise, no matter what people said at the time. I think it took it to and elevated it to the next freaking level. This has to be tied with The Lost World as Spielberg's most underrated masterpiece, and happy 40th anniversary to it. So I will defend it till my dying day. The first Indiana Jones movie to be rated 12A, in fact, and PG-13. This movie even inspired the 12A PG-13 rating, so it did revolutionize the movie industry in that way. I, for one, respect this movie for having the balls to be the darkest and most mature film in the franchise, and to show that it's more than just light fluff, and can take itself seriously. I don't care if I'm alone here. Willie Scott is my go-to Indiana Jones love interest, and she would be my personal pick for Indy's bride. And believe it or not, she does have a compelling character journey. She goes from a screaming actress who wants nothing to do with Indy's adventure life to, but she does. But she does grow into a changed woman by the end. And Short Round, yeah, he may be the the best sidekick Indy could ever ask for. I mean, who has been more handy for Indy than him? And even Harrison Ford gives his go-to performance of the franchise here, especially when Indy is possessed, and Harrison even uh, injured his back while filming the scene with the assassin in Indy's room in the temple. So Harrison put himself through so much doing this movie. That's how passionate he was. Mola Ram is the most magnificent Indiana Jones antagonist, the only great one in my eyes, the only one that can give you literal nightmares. John Williams' score here is my favourite. It gives me a chills, and it is flat out terrifying. And the action from uh, the minecart chaser to the final battle on the Roper Bridge is the most electrifying action in the franchise, and this movie even has the best comedy of the series to me, especially when Willie is disgusted by eating a monkey's brain. This was the movie where Spielberg would meet his wife, Kate Capshaw. It is so it is special for that. Yeah, I this is the go-to Indiana Jones movie for me. I'm proud to call Temple of Doom the best of the Indiana Jones franchise. So yeah, that was my ranking of the 5 Indiana Jones installments, and Lucas film had better well redeem themselves in the near future with the rumored Rey Star Wars movie. There is hope. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. What's your ranking of the Indiana Jones movies? Is your ranking the exact same or vastly different from mine? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.